When you're ready, Mario, you can start.
Okay, very good. Good day, everyone, and welcome to this video conference. My name is Mario Jolet. I'm the president of MI3. Today, we have the pleasure to have a gold Australian explorer called the AIS resource. The presentation will be made by Mr. Philipp Thomas, who's the president and CEO. He's also with us. We have the chance to have Mr. Martin Elliman. Good day, gentlemen.
Good day, Mario.
Good day.
Hello, Mario.
Thank you for being with us today. And no longer than this, I will leave the mic to Mr. Phil Thomas, who will give the presentation. If you have any question, feel free to put it in the chat, and there would be a Q&A session, question and answer session at the end with Phil and Martin. So thank you very much for your time on a busy schedule, and to you, Philip, and thank you again for being with us today.
Thanks, Mario. Welcome, everybody, for joining this Zoom conference. I've got quite a few slides, but I'll go through the key ones, and don't forget to put those questions in the chat box. AIS Resources is focused on exploring and producing gold in Australia, particularly in Victoria and New South Wales. So we're going to go through those projects in the presentation. Here's the compulsory risk statement, and I'm glad you've all read that. So we have three drill-ready gold projects at the moment. We have one in Fosterville, which is about 12k from the Fosterville gold mine that Kirkland Lake are operating. It's averaging about 2.6 million ounces at a massive 31.5 grams per tonne. So as far as I understand it, it's the richest gold mine in the world. We have 28 kilometres of property, and we've identified paleo channels and shear zones in the Ordovician turbidite metasediments, and those words are very, very key, and I'll come back to them in a minute. We're bounded by a number of faults. In fact, the Fosterville fault sits next to the Mount Williams fault, and then there are smaller fault systems, and these are the generators of gold mineralisation. Interestingly, in the tension vein system, so the perpendicular fault systems that come off the main fault is where the gold is aggregating, and of course it's under shallow cover in this particular area. You go north to Bendigo, and then further north, you start to get up to 100 to 300 metres of cover, whereas we've been blessed with only 10 to 15 metres of cover in this particular area beside Fosterville. And it's a drill-ready project because we've completed the deep ground penetrating geophysics. There's been a lot of auger work done and RC diamond work, so we'll get into that fairly shortly. Our second project is the Kingston Gold Project, which is just 35 kilometres north of the Stawell Gold Mine. And we've got some pretty high-profile neighbours. It's been previously explored by BHP and Western Mining. And we have Navarre Minerals North Stawell Gold Mine exploration, which listed recently, and a number of other explorers. Interestingly, this is a fairly prolific area, 16.89 grams per tonne, over 3.6 metres, and 24.27 over another interval of 2.5 metres, predominantly drilled by Navarre Minerals about 10 years ago. There's a lot of rock chip and soil geochemistry around. There's many old mine shafts, and we'll be using induced polarity geophysics to determine our drill targets. But first we'll start off with the rock chips, and to date the rock chips have been very, very promising, with background values around 0.5 of a gram per tonne, so that's pretty good. Our Yalgogran Gold Project in New South Wales is the most advanced. It covers two prospect areas, one of 56 square kilometres and another one of 2.8. We're focusing on the 2.8 square kilometre property, and we've already started environmental work and permit work for a heap leach mine on that area, even though we haven't done our diamond drilling yet, which starts on the 1st of March. We're looking for both high grade and low grade mineralisation. We've got results up to 21.5 grams per tonne, and the latest work that we've done for the double dipole work has been nothing short of outstanding, and we're right next door to a couple of the major players at Lake Cowell and so forth. So that's basically our project. Plus, as you can see in the heading up here, we have the option to acquire the Cassidy project, which is a massive area of 596 square kilometres. We were exploring there last week, looking for gold here in the Robertson River area. We visited the copper nickel areas there. There's some zinc as well. There's garnets and possibly diamonds over here, but certainly garnets have been found. There are some black anthracite coal seams on the property, and down the bottom here there's an iron ore deposit just to round out the range of projects. And we know the company that owns the area beside it here, and there's a nickel deposit just on this corner here that we visited. Obviously zinc and gold on the corner there, and mineral sands are quite prevalent around the area as well, and other gold deposits. So that's a big project, and we're working through it now. We've got a 3-month option to acquire that project, and the annual work expenditure is about 130,000. So we'll be looking to review the work that's been done there. If we have a look at the 3 advanced projects and their locations and who else is around, at Fosterville we have Kirkland Lake right beside us, and that's their block there. This block 3 here is up for auction by tender, and that tender should be closing fairly shortly. We've heard of a lot of 7 and even 1 8-figure number that was bid for the block, and of course we're right on the border of it, right in here, and all of this land here is private property, and we have a great relationship with the owner of that, and we've been working across here. This green area here is Crown land, so we can get onto that land as well. This is privately owned, but this area here, this half of the property, is the area of interest so far. So further in the presentation, I'll be focusing on that. Kingston, we have 2 areas here. We have Navarre sitting here, Stawell Gold Mines in here. Navarre have another big tenement in here, and Providence Gold have circled us completely. They have this block in here as well, and we've got this area in here. The Landsborough Fault goes right through the project, and in the middle here we have a significant amount of gold exploration and shafts, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. This is the Yalgogran area, and you can see here those big gold-coloured diamonds are significant gold mines, and you can see the Lachlan Fold Belt basically running along the side of this. This is a magnetics map, and you can see here we've got Cadia Gold Mine here, which is, I think, the biggest in New South Wales. There's the township of West Wyalong. We're here. Thompson Resources is all around us, and then you've got some of these big gold mines to the north in here, and going to the south. And this is known as the Yalgogran Gold Trail, and you don't want to try and say that after a few drinks. North Parks, you've got 1.6 million ounces. Cadia Ridge, you've got 23 million ounces, and over at Cal, you've got 3.5 million ounces. So these are mega systems sitting in this structure sitting here, and you can see the contrast between the volcanics sitting in here, and the sediments beside it, and we're right on the edge of that particular contrast right there, which is probably the best place to be in the system. Let's have a look at Fosterville Tourleen in detail. There's our chief geologist. I think he lost something there, but he's looking at the outcrop, which is very, very rare to find. As you can see, it's mostly grassland. That's the antenna from the deep ground penetrating radar, and they basically drag that along and take measurements. The area has been quite prolific in production. 7,000 tonnes at 10 grams per tonne was taken about actually on the corner of the project on our land. It's located once again in the Lachlan Fold Belt, so lots of structural geology activity, and of course on the edge of the greenstone corridor running north-south, which is the major component of the Lachlan Fold Belt. The Fosterville mine suggests that basically all these shallow gold mineralizations indicative of high-grade tension chutes, which I was chatting about before, from these vertical shear zones, faults and folding. We're blessed to have Dr. Ronnie Boucher on our team, a preeminent geologist, done a lot of work on turbidites, a oil and gas structural geologist initially, and the last 25 years he spent his time working in this particular area, and there's his hands there showing us some laminated quartz, which is the major host for the gold, as opposed to bulk quartz. There's been several prospectors with metal detectors, and they've recovered significant amounts of surface gold, which has been a combination of the Permian glacials, which are some of these strange rocks that aren't consistent with the geology around the place, which have come in glacial terrain and deposited gold, as well as the local chutes that have been eroded off and left gold. We're in pretty good company around the place. Fosterville South is to the north of us. Nubian Resources is right next door. Catalyst Metals have a huge area, and Petrotherm, which has been a very, very active explorer, is also next door, as well as Golden Camel, and we're 35 kilometres away from Bendigo. So we're very, very close to all the action. Here's an image of the ground penetrating radar and a hole that was drilled, and you can see this green here is the basement, which correlates quite well with the drill hole. And here you can see this is a matrix percent here. So at 99, it's pure clay, probably with some moisture in it, and below 50% is the shale sandstone. So if you have a look at the right-hand side in our area, I took a photograph of a cutting, and these white sediments here are the Ordovician sediments, which basically host the gold. And you can see here at Fosterville, there's a layer of Ordovician there, and another significant layer right along this margin here. So this unit here is that unit there, but in fact, in our property, it's on the surface. Down here, they've got some additional cover. In here, there's a lot of folding and faulting. You actually can't see it particularly clearly, but right in here is where all these little horizontal chutes have come off, and they've taken gold out. And you can see the benches here where they've been taking the gold out as they move to the left. So Fosterville was open cut, and then there's the ramp going down into the mine, and there's a series of these big fault systems here. You can see the fault running there, and then there's another smaller one here. You can see a little bit of offset there, and that's exactly what we've got over here as well. So the rocks are the right rocks, and the deep ground penetrating radar is picking up the various laminations on the surface, and then it's being reflected below. So if we have a look at a wider area here, you can see there's a structure there that we need to investigate. There's another one there. That is the fence. So we can pick up man-made reflections in the deep ground penetrating radar. But you can see how the surface, and this is down to 25 meters, and here's the Ordovician bedrock contact coming through the bottom here. You can see how it lines up pretty well. So in fact, this one here relates to that, So this channel feature with this disruption here, it looks like a fault system, and we've got another little area pushing up here, which reflects on that there. And so there'll be possibly an offset system happening in here. So what we do is we go through each one of these layers here and identify where the drill target might be and what angle we put the drill target down. So in this instance, we would go down like that to try and pick up changes here, because we've got quite a wide area, whereas here we would go straight down. Although we haven't got any disturbance in this layer here, so we'd probably leave that as a lower priority and focus on this one up here. This is what's been mapped by the Geological Survey in this area here for the Ordovician. And here's some of the drill core. You can see those white rocks again, some quartzy material over here. And here's a picture of one of the nuggets that was found on the surface, and possibly could have come from this disturbance in here and washed down the hill. Here's a bigger section, and you can just see the amount of work involved here. Here's a paleo channel that's been mapped in the plan view, and all the air core drill holes. And here's all the deep ground penetrating detection spots. And here's the paleo channels. So we've got a plan view here. If we have a look at the elevation, you can once again see numerous structures. And this is line 3. We have 5 lines, which you'll see in a minute. So we're pretty excited. There's a drill core, so we can map the drill core to the geophysics and correlate the two, and that will give us our targets. And there's the fence line there. So sorry, that's not the fence line. The fence line was in the previous one. But we've got some pretty solid targets here to drill in the Tuloon. So this is a 3-dimensional picture of it. So I've put in the corner there the whole of the process that we've got in terms of the whole area, and so we've got a very, very good understanding of what's going on here and here and here. And you can see there's targets all over the place. A massive one sitting here, another massive one sitting there, and we've got some other targets that we need to look at. We know what went on over here. So our work has been going very, very quickly now that we've finished the radar, and we have to invert some of this data here to get a better 3D picture of what's going on. So the soil sampling that was done and the auger work has to be overlain over this. So that's our next stage, with a little bit of further exploration. So what do we want to do? We're looking at the gravity. There's these bright spots here, particularly here, that suggest that there is another structure, big structure on the edge here. So this contrast here hasn't come up, particularly on the end of this line here, hasn't come up that clearly. So, and the road goes along here. So we've got access to this land in here. So what we're going to do is run a very tightly spaced gravity survey, and that will show us what structures are sitting under here. And we'll continue to do that as we walk with the gravity detection, so it won't be air flown, and that way we'll get a very, very good understanding of what's going on now that we've got a preliminary understanding of what's going on over here. These gold spots is where nuggets have actually been picked up, and here's the paleo channel that was originally identified in 2018, and there. So lots of information to pull together, lots of drill hole data, the deep ground penetrating radar. But if we can get one of these major fault zones, we might be in happy land. Let's go on to Kingston. It's 167 square kilometres. The picture you're looking at there is one of the alluvial channels, and you can see Owen down there in the bottom right-hand corner, just to give you an idea of the depth of these channels, and obviously some spectacular gold results. If we have a look at who's around us, all fairly significant names, and Navarre, they only did a little bit of exploration work. They really didn't do much. So we've got to continue on and explore this area, particularly to the north, around the license area. This is the this blue line here is the prospector's license, which has been taken out of our area, but it's instructive looking at the extent of brecciation which flows up into our area. Chris is there at the moment getting prepared to start to go down this old Kingston mine here, and they're going to go up this way and out this way with their shaft. And the minute they go over our blue line, then we get 15% of the gold. So while they're in their prospecting license area, that's fine. Once they go out of the area, which is not that far, probably 25, 30 meters to the right, and they'll probably pick up these drill holes here because they there's 11 meters at 2% gold over there, and you get similar sorts of numbers through here. Clearly to the north, they've got some good numbers, but the breccia contact is probably where most of the gold is, over in here. So that's a free kick for us, and we said they can park their trucks in our area on our EL, so we have a good working relationship with them. The Kingston Gold project has been extensively explored in the past, and I won't read through the whole lot. You can see that on the screen, and you can go to aisresources.com to pick up this presentation. If we look at some of the shafts that are down here, you'll see these are all over the place. Clearly, the old guys really found some excellent surface gold, mostly laminated, and so they put a shaft down. These are quite deep, 60, 70, 80 meters. They don't seem to hit. We've dropped a few rocks down, and they haven't hit the water. So we suspect the water table is quite deep here, which is excellent from a mining point of view. So the resolution load was detected this year, not far away from us, and the gold extended down to 300 meters depth and was near the Coonji fault and the Irvine prospect. So we're very, very optimistic about this project, notwithstanding that we've got a free kick from any gold on our area. Here's the breccia that we got 0.65 of a gram per ton out of. Another couple of shafts, and I guess it's fairly easy for us because we'll just do a induced polarity survey, which will give us the conductivity of the sulfides, and we'll run those between a lot of the shafts in a particular area, probably about a kilometre away from where the existing prospecting license is operating. The strike is massive. It's like 2,000 meters, and it's got a lot of area to test. So it's not like we have a shortage of targets in the Kingston area. And with the background gold values being relatively high, the arsenic coming through, we've got all the ingredients to do some successful exploration. Let's look at Yalgogrin. That's a picture of the ELA 6030. You can see there, it's pretty average ground. To the left is where all the grains are. Farmer is fantastic. Lets us on. We basically dig around and stuff. So no problems at all from that point of view. Up in here is where the indigenous country is, which Thomson Resources are dealing with, and then they've got some more freehold on the other side of that. So we don't have any indigenous protection issues. We don't have any Crown land or precinct areas to worry about. It's all freehold, and we have great relationships with them. So had some pretty stunning intercepts from drilling in the past, especially 0.5 metre at 32 grams per tonne, 9 metres per gram per tonne. And these areas just light up like you wouldn't believe. You can see here in Dennis's hands, there's a massive pyrite. You can see the square shape of the pyrite sitting in this granite. So we've got fine grained gold disseminated right through the granite contact face. There's a shallow oxide resource, and there you can see the oxides. And then obviously there'll be a deeper gold resource feeding these chutes and feeding this mineralization through the faults. Very different geology to Lean. This is one of the older maps over where we saw the Asia Wylong mine, which is the first slide I showed you. This is about 130 metres deep, this shaft, and there's adits going off left, right and centre. This is the Talmore mine, what's left of it. But here you can see the 20 ppm arsenic contours, and they obviously put down a number of shafts, and that's the picture of that one there. These have been covered over, so we couldn't go down them, and the Talmore one sits up in here. Here's a summary of the grades. Big intercepts, 22 metres at 1.9, and over here 9 metres at 2.2, 15 metres at 1.9. So this is going to work out to be a significant resource just from the drilling that's been done in the past. Here you can see basically some of the samples and what the drill hole was and what the hit was, 5.41 and 3.25 grams per tonne. So there's been some fantastic RC drilling, but now's the time to get out the diamond drill, which we'll be doing on the 1st of March. The team will be there. We'll be drilling for 2 weeks on, 1 week off, only doing daytime drilling to keep our costs down. And we hope to get some fairly outstanding results. We're right here, and this is Thomson Resources all around us. And here's the Payne family farm down there around that. So this is where the old township was, right in here. And then we have the Payne, obviously, this is Crown land on the top here. And then we have all this area in here, which is also owned by the Paynes. And Chris's brother-in-law owns that area in there. So we've got plenty of friends around us. Roads are sealed, hardly rains. It's the perfect place to go looking for gold. This is the mining that's gone in the past, and I'll just draw your attention to what we think is, or what we thought at the time was, an envelope extending in the east-west direction. And the Adelaide prospect, you can see all the little old gold mines from diggings in the past. The auger results sitting in here, and some of the drill results over here. So everyone gets really excited and says, this is fantastic. Here's the mineralisation envelope, probably 400 metres long. Some great intercepts across the envelope. It's open at depth, looking pretty good. And this is the Walsh's area, which is the area we're targeting at the moment. Then you look at the geophysics and you say, oh my God, you can see there's massive structures going in the opposite direction. And what the geophysics has told us is that rather than this body being vertical, it actually dips to the west. So these long arms down here go this way. So you can see here the mines, the guys hit pay dirt every now and then. So what we're looking at is on this side is the chargeability. So we're saying how much of electrical conductivity is sitting in here to retain a charge, and over here is the resistivity. So you can see the outline here of the soils, but they kind of cover but don't accurately map, and they miss this area completely down here. So all of a sudden our projects increased by 3 or 4 times, and the old timers grabbed some maps, grabbed some samples down here, and obviously these weren't too prolific, but this is a whole body that we now will be looking to drill. So our drill targets are here. So we've got 3 holes there, another 3 holes there, another 2 holes there. This hole here will be quite instructive, because once we've drilled that, that will give us an indication of likely what's going on through here. And this contact here where the color changes, that's where the granite contact is. And once again, it can be seen along here and cut the drill hole. So this could not be better. I mean, this is music to a geophysicist's eyes and geologist, I guess. So we're pretty excited about that, especially given that previous rock chip sample with the sulfides. So our near term is down plunge at Hollands Walsh and La Syrah. So we've got at least a 500-metre trend there. We've got the narrow vein targets in the Adelaide mine, but now we know where to go, because they're lighting up on the geophysics. And so we're not walking up, we're running to the drill targets at the moment. And in 3 weeks' time, myself and Dennis will be up there supervising the drillers and looking at the core with great detail. Management team, Martin, who'll be speaking a little bit later, investment banking background. I've had a combination of experience across a range of gold projects, and you can read there my sort of global experience, certainly in Latin America, North America. I'm both a QP and a competent person for JORC, which I just renewed recently, and I'm a director and member of the Australian Institute of Mineral Values and Appraisers, who is the only institute in Australia that's qualified. If you're an Oz IMM or a MAIG, that doesn't give you the qualification under the Australian Securities Investment Commission. You have to be an AIMVA member. Dennis, clearly 25 years experience, was the senior exploration geologist at Kirkland Lake with 4 geologists reporting into him. Dr. Bush is on our advisory board, our technical advisory board, clearly a major player globally. Stuart is a consultant, does some fantastic work, worked in the Kingston area, right next door. There's a big project called Lockington, and had lots of orogenic gold experience, which is what we want for the Kingston project. And he's working at Yandoit near Dalesford at the moment. He has his own project with his father, so he's out there every day working. Kiki, 20 years experience, finance director, accountant, looks after our cash flows, lots of experience. And Anthony Baum, our independent director, makes sure that everything is running above board, and obviously an active participant in the mining industry for many years, and a lot of expertise in investment management. Capital structure, we are sitting around 7-8 cents at the moment. The minute we get over 15, I suspect that all these options and warrants that are, the warrants that are sitting in the money will get exercised, and that potentially give us another $6 or $7 million of equity or of cash to utilise to follow through on Yalgogrin and Turleen. And then we have quite a few options here, another $1.9 million. So we've got 156 million shares, which is pretty reasonable given the size of the projects and the quality of the projects that we've been able to acquire, and we have plenty of blue sky with the Cassidy and certainly with the Kingston projects. That's the end of my chat, and clearly you can email either Martin or myself. I'll hand over to Martin now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, well, that was a good presentation, Phil. I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that we can take advantage of your expertise and, of course, Dennis's, and to have Mr. Bouchard as well. I mean, so we've got the team, we've got the properties, we've got money. There is a question being asked about more money, and we are turning down money every day. We just don't want to take more money on here at this level. And I think that's, as management, we think that's wise, given that we've got a lot of promotion that's going to start happening, starting imminently. Philipp has spent most of this week talking with a very big promotional group that, by the way, were participants in the last financing, significant, $500,000. And they said, look, we love your project. We think you're very undervalued, but would you allow us to take some money to promote? And they have a tremendous track record. So we said yes, and it wasn't a lot of money, but they want to make their own investment worth more money. They think it's very doable. And the same happened with a group out of London as well, where they asked the same thing. And they've been very active with the digital marketing. And, this Zoom call is probably the first thing we've done on the promotional side of any significance, but it's the beginning, I believe. And I'm thinking that we will see a very exciting time in the coming weeks, especially when we commence drilling into these very juicy targets on the algorithm. And I know there's a lot of people listening and a lot of people asking about the tooling. And the tooling is very, very much important for us, given its location, given that we have Dennis on board. And Dennis is spending a lot of time advising us on that, but we will be drilling that as soon as we possibly can. There's nothing stopping us. We just want to make sure that we get the right target. So I know it's frustrating, but we are very much on top of the situation. And that's it, really. That's my 2 penny worth. I know timing is everything, and I thank you for all attending the conference. But there's some questions that have come in, I think, Phil, from the floor.
There is some
sure.
question in the chat. I'll ask Luke.
Yeah. How much did we pay for the exploration license? We paid $750,000 for the Fosterville 2 lean license, $520,000 for Kingston, and Yalgogren $400,000. Half of those amounts were in shares. The rest was cash. On Yalgogren, we have an agreement with the farmers basically to go all the way up to development of the mine, and there's a handshake agreement in place at the moment that we can acquire the property for $2.8 million if we decide to go and process and start an open cut. The farmer has quite a big area. He has about 4,000 hectares, which is pretty typical of all the farms around there. They're all massive farms. But this particular area where the gold is, because it's in a granite, sandy soil, the pasture isn't that crash hot. So we would easily come to an agreement with Chris, and they've been supporting the mining for quite a long period of time, and away we go. All the sites have drilling permits, which are part of the old work plans. We will put a work plan update in, and then basically continue forward and work out the number of drill holes. So in this particular instance, we have a permit, I think, for 15 holes on Yalgogren, although we've only cited 10 of them. And that's basic standard fare for Australian drilling permits around work plans. Mining leases are a little bit different in that you have to go and apply for a mining lease. So an exploration license becomes a mining lease, and there's a whole bunch of things that you have to do. We've actually started that process at Yalgogren. So this was a question from Stan. And we've had a meeting with the Department of Mining Resources and the environmental people in Forbes, which is not about 100 kilometres away from Yalgogrin, and they were very, very supportive. They got their technical team in, basically gave us a short educational lecture on the process to make sure we didn't miss anything. With regard to the manganese project in Peru, it's on hold at the moment. As you're probably aware, there's something like 300,000 people with COVID in Peru. There's 200 to 300 deaths a day. It's very touch and go with regards to employees, and quite a few projects have been closed down. There's a little bit of, there's a major gold project just around the corner from our manganese project. We still have 520 tonnes of manganese at 42% sitting on the ground there. Unfortunately, the manganese price hasn't reflected the iron ore price in that it went up and manganese hardly moved. So at this stage, it's not costing us anything. We are ready to go. We're basically just waiting for that price to recover a bit more, but we're probably more waiting for the vaccine to get through Peru. A number of our contractors have had tragedies with people dying. You know, there's 2,000 ICU beds in Peru and about 40,000 people waiting for them. So it's not a good scene from a COVID perspective in Peru. The projects are easily being managed. Basically, Dennis looks after Kingston. Dennis looks after Kingston. Yalgogrin. I look after the Kingston area with Stuart, and Dr. Boucher and Dennis look after Tulane. So we have a high priority on Yalgogrin at the moment. Yalgogrin really will zap into production, assuming we get the drilling results that we think we'll get. We're generating a lot of projects because we can generate, there's kind of a frenzy going on in Victoria at the moment over gold projects and other base metal projects. So given that we're investment issuer, we will probably be looking for partners once we've generated sufficient exploration knowledge, and that's what people are looking for. I think there's 387 transfers in the department just in Victoria alone at the moment. So there's a lot of activity going on. The whole of Victoria has been almost staked that had any hope of finding anything. There's one particular explorer has staked 1,866 square kilometres in Victoria alone. They just can't get over all the area. So having large, like I call jumbo areas, is not necessarily a great advantage to have, because you've basically got a work commitment. You've got to basically get over it. And a lot of our time is just spent talking to farmers and talking to people who own it to make sure that we can get on the land and we can actually do exploration, we can drill, we can soil sample. I heard of a project the other day that is close to 300 square kilometres, but they only have about 20 square kilometres of explorable land because of the river systems being tier 1 Aboriginal areas that need to be respected, and so forth. So having a huge area to explore doesn't necessarily get you there. We don't have any of those issues at all, so we're looking pretty good. The quality, someone asked manganese, what quality is it? It's 42%. It's ideal for making rebar steel. Battery quality manganese also comes from those sorts of grades. They change it into manganese sulfate, and it's ideal for battery quality. The benchmark is 44%, and it's low in potassium. In fact, there's hardly any potassium at all. So that's what you need to make battery quality manganese. How do you value your shares? News generation is not sufficient. That's true. I guess you look at drill results as drill results then move into feasibility studies, which then move into mining. So that's a pretty well-worn track. There are a number of valuation methods. There's basically the market method. What did you pay for it? There's the exploration geoscience method. So there's a whole bunch of indices done on the data that you have, and that comes up. But it's clear whichever way you use, and there's 6 different ways to value the projects we have at the moment, we're significantly undervalued. Why are we undervalued? Maybe it's an understanding and so forth. So so that's the key issue. We have a question about the manganese for battery spec requires high purity grade. As I said, it's magnesium sulfate is what you end up with as the base material for batteries. The impurities that you have in the ground are all taken out through basically putting it through the furnace, and they can be taken out. All the ores are being tested, and basically we've come up with pretty high quality material because of the low alkalis sitting in it, or in fact there's a significant absence of alkalis. We don't need to sell the manganese property. It's not worth much in the sense of just sitting there at the moment. It's only worth money when it's operating. So now is probably not the time that we're going to look to do that. We may joint venture with a local partner, but we'll at this stage focus on gold exploration and take it from there. So I think I've answered all the questions, Mario. I don't think there are any more.
Mario, on t'entend pas.
XMG share plans. Martin, do you want to talk about the strategy with the number of XMG shares we've got left?
Well, yeah, I'm very aware of the company, and we haven't by any means sold a lot of them. We haven't sold all of them for sure, because I think the stock keeps trying to go a little higher. So really it doesn't cost us anything. And if it goes a little higher, then I'll perhaps do some more. So there's no real, there's no serious plans on that, to cover. We as a company, small company, I think we're poised to be a large company, and with that will come a lot more attention, of course, from our activities that we're now doing. And we always get a lot of questions on manganese, I know, and there's a lot of shareholders out there on that, still on that, and the same way as we used to have a lot of questions on lithium. So as it's been remarked already, we're trying to be cautious with what we take on, although with all the activity on lithium recently and with the tremendous, unbelievable expertise that we have in Argentina, we've certainly kept all of those contacts. We've certainly kept a lot of interest in there, and we don't want to confuse our obvious large audience at the moment with we're doing gold in Victoria, but we are not ignoring what's going on outside with lithium again. So I think it would be silly of me to say more at this time, but we are certainly not letting that pass our attention. So I think it's going to be an exciting time. So yeah, I hope I'm not confusing the issue here too much.
Okay, very good.
Okay, Mario.
Does anybody have some more questions for our gentleman? If not, we have recorded this presentation. Feel free to ask myself or Luke for the replay. One final last word, Martin, on AIS. What should we remember for what's coming? next month?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
March?
think now is the time. We haven't done a lot of paid promotion for a long time. I think we've selected our paid promotion really well. And I think we will see a difference. These groups are very confident that they think we are sillily undervalued. Of course, I'm biased. I agree with them. But I think it's going to be a very interesting time. And I think that we are well equipped, as I say, with very strong management on the ground. And I think we've definitely got the projects. I look at so many other deals out there. I'm not going to name them because that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But I look at the properties and they've got capitalizations that are many times ours, but they don't have the properties or even close to properties that we have. But now we've got to prove it. Now I got to back up that statement. And I think we're going to be doing that in the coming weeks and months. We're definitely going to be showing up to quality. We wouldn't have the players like Mr. Bouchard, and Dennis Walsh certainly wouldn't have come as a head geologist exploration from Kirkland Lake itself. He wouldn't have joined us, and he wouldn't have taken mainly paper rather than money to put his properties in and get involved with us. So I think it's time to speak up. It's time to see the company doing a lot more, and I think we will in the coming weeks and months. And I thank everybody that's taken the time, and is backing us and is on the line right now in a very sincere manner. That's what I say, Mario.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you.
Philip.
Thank you.
On the closing, I would like to remind you that the symbol is a SIS on the TSX. AIS. Trading around 7.5, 8 cents. Guys, thank you very much for the update, and we'll revisit in 3 months from here. Okay.
Oh, about 3 months. We'll have to come back in a month with all this activity, Mario.
Okay. Anyways, it's on the screen in the position. So thank you very much, everybody, for your busy time today, and stay safe on your side. Thank you.